Welcome to the Sons of Utah Pioneers 2024 National Encampment, hosted by the Timpanogos Chapter. Conference headquarters will be located at the Manila Stake Center, located just north of the Timpanogos Temple. As participants enter the conference center, they will be greeted with pioneer relics, including firearms and swords of the Mormon Battalion, Utah War, and Civil War. Following the Thursday evening meal, guests have a choice between two activities. Guests may stay at the conference center for a historical presentation on the Utah War by retired Army Colonel Kenneth Alford. Sometimes called Buchanan's Blunder, this unnecessary military action is a fascinating chapter in Utah's history. For some more up-to-date, guests may travel a short distance to watch an amazing performance by the award-winning American Fork Marching Band. On Friday, September 20th, participants have the choice between 12 tours. Yes, you heard that correctly, 12 tours. 6 morning tours and 6 afternoon tours. All tours will be half-day, and lunch will be served at the conference center. In addition, individuals willing to drive may attend any tour free of charge and thus save the transportation fees. In addition, there are several self-guided tours that will be listed on the Timpanogos website at suptimp.org. For the young at heart, may I suggest the Timpanogos Cave, located 7 miles up American Fork Canyon. This self-guided tour requires a physically demanding 1.4-mile trail that ascends 1,092 vertical feet up a steep mountain trail. Plan on 3 hours to view this natural wonder. The Roots of Knowledge display located at the Utah Valley University in the Fulton Library includes 80 stained glass window panes spanning 10 feet in height and 150 feet in length, depicting the creation of the world, life, and humanity. Tour 1, sponsored by the Timpanogos Chapter, takes us to Camp Floyd and the Pony Express route. Learn the history of the Utah War, 1857 to 1858, Johnson's Army, plus the rise and fall of Camp Floyd. For example, did you know that Johnson was from the South, and when the Civil War broke out, he resigned his commission and joined the Confederacy? He was the highest-ranking Confederate officer killed during the Civil War. Tour 2, sponsored by the Squaw Peak Chapter, takes us to the historic Utah County Courthouse. Built between 1920 and 1926 at a cost of just over $576,000. In the ballroom of this magnificent building, you will learn of the history of the first Provo Tabernacle, dedicated in 1867, the baptistry, and the second Provo Tabernacle, dedicated in 1898. You will learn of the 2010 fire that destroyed this pioneer structure.
Late last year, the Provo Tabernacle in Utah County was seriously damaged by a terrible fire. This wonderful building, much beloved by generations of Latter-day Saints, was left with only the exterior walls standing. After careful study, we've decided to rebuild it with full preservation and restoration of the exterior to become the second temple of the church in the city of Provo.
Participants will learn about the amazing technology used to reconstruct this structure as the Provo City Center Temple. Participants will then tour the temple grounds. Tour 2 continues as you travel to the Fulton Library at the Utah Valley University to view the roots of knowledge. 80 stained glass window panes spanning 10 feet in height and 150 feet in length. Tour 3, sponsored by the Brigham Young chapter, takes you to Pioneer Village, located in the heart of Provo. Pioneer Village is an authentic representation of life in Provo before the railroad came in 1872. Tour 3 then travels to the historic Brigham Young Academy. Completed in 1898, this building was used by BYU until 1968. Tour 4, sponsored by the Maple Mountain chapter, begins at Spring Lake, just south of Payson, Utah. There you will learn about the Ute Indian chief Blackhawk and the Blackhawk Wars, one of the deadliest engagements in Utah history between the pioneers and the Native American Indians. You will visit Blackhawk's grave near Spring Lake. For many years, Blackhawk's remains were displayed at a Provo museum. Fortunately, this Indian warrior was respectfully interned at this sacred location. You will then visit one of two Dominguez Escalante expedition monuments, one in Payson and the other at the mouth of Spanish Fork Canyon. Fathers Dominguez and Escalante reached the mouth of Spanish Fork Canyon on September 23, 1776. Rimmed by Utah, Timpanukis, Indian villages, today a white cross marks the hill Dominguez climbed to survey the valley. Tour 4 continues to the Springville Museum of Art. This historic landmark is filled with the skills of local artists. You will want to ponder and spend time at this location. Tour 5, sponsored by the Timpanogos chapter, travels to Alpine, Utah to visit the Crandall Printing Museum. There you will learn about the Gutenberg Press, the English Common Press, the Peter Smith Hand Press, commonly known as the Acorn Press, the same type of press that printed the Book of Mormon. Unfortunately, this tour is limited to 35 participants due to the size of the facility. Time permitting, Tour 5 continues to the Daughters of the Utah Pioneers Relic Hall Museum to view only a stonecutter. Stonecutter John Rowe Moyle lost his leg during an accident. However, this did not prevent him from journeying on foot to the Salt Lake Temple, where he labored as a stonecutter. He is remembered for chiseling the words, "Holiness to the Lord," the house of the Lord. Weather permitting, lunch will be served at the outdoor pavilion next to the Manila Stake Center in the shadows of the Timpanogos Temple. Tour 2 repeats in the afternoon, starting at the historic Utah County Courthouse. Tour 3, beginning at the Provo Pioneer Village, will also repeat in the afternoon. Tour 6, sponsored by the Lehigh chapter, travels to the Hutchings Museum. Participants will view a wonderful collection of antiques from the past, including police and fire apparatus, guns of the Old West, guns of outlaws, and lawmen. You will learn about David Evans, a Hans Mill survivor and founder of the city of Lehigh. Plus, you will view a 45-minute video about Porter Rockwell. Tour 7, sponsored by the Lehigh chapter, travels to Thanksgiving Point to view the Light of the World Garden. Ponder the life of Jesus Christ through a series of 15 sculptures by Angela Johnson, each depicting some of the most powerful moments of his ministry. Plus, visit the new Tree of Life expedition scheduled to open in the fall of 2024. Tour 8, sponsored by the Timpanogos chapter, tours the Daughters of the Utah Pioneers Museum at American Fork, the historic Alpine Tabernacle, the Bigelow Organ Factory, and the historic Presbyterian Church. Tour 9 is sponsored by the Timpanogos chapter and hosted by SUP Area Vice President Dan Adams. Dan has written a research paper about the soft rock buildings in the Pleasant Grove area. Between 1865 and 1900, there were about 130 soft rock homes built in Pleasant Grove, with only 19 historic buildings still visible. Indians attacked Pleasant Grove Fort on April 12, 1863. This event was the beginning of the Black Hawk Wars. You will then travel to the Adams Dairy Farm, where you will see hundreds of vintage farm tools, including a Jackson fork. Learn how 100-year-old concrete silos were built and how they were used.
Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on that farm he had a pig, E-I-E-I-O. With an oink oink here and an oink oink there, here an oink, there an oink, everywhere an oink oink. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
Guest speaker at the Friday evening banquet will be Elder D. Todd Christofferson. Born in American Fork and raised in Pleasant Grove and Linden, Elder Christofferson graduated from Duke University School of Law in 1972. In 2008, he was called as a member of the Quorum of the 12. Following Elder Christofferson's remarks, you will be entertained by the Hardman Pioneer Band. Following the National Board breakfast on Saturday morning, all SUP members will attend a national business meeting. The women will be instructed by Susan Easton Black, Professor of Church History and Doctrine, as well as Angela Johnson, Sculpture, Light of the World, and Tree of Life. The Saturday's President's Lunch will be followed by Garrick Dirkmatt, Associate Professor, Church History and Doctrine at Brigham Young University. He will address the audience on expulsion of the saints from Nauvoo, the U.S. Army, and the Mormon Battalion. More information will be posted online outlining each tour, including travel distance, parking, entrance fees, etc. Many of these tours are located only a few miles from the conference center. When you register, you will have the option to opt out of any transportation fees by carpooling to these locations. We hope you will take the time to schedule September 19th through the 21st, 2024 for the 2024 Sons of the Utah Pioneers National Encampment.